Hello YouTube and welcome to Go Girl Gaming's coverage of the game Arche. On this channel I will be covering housing, farming, crafting, auction house usage, and trading. This video will be my impressions of Head Start, covering the areas that I cover. So I will not be talking about any issues that were had with Head Start. You can read all about that on the Arche forums. Also, my commentary will be limited to my personal experiences on the server that I was on and on the side that I was on. And I will say up front that I was on the western continent of Nuya, not the eastern continent of Harani. So let's get started. With regard to housing, hectic. There was indeed a land rush. My guildies and I did get land. We did not get the land that we wanted, and we actually ended up in a PvP zone. It was the best PvP zone you could be in, but it was a PvP zone nonetheless. So land was gone in the safe zones by day one. The only land that remained by day one in the safe zones were the luxury housing and the scarecrow farms. Everything else was taken. By day two, the scarecrow farms and Solarise were taken. By day three, maybe into day four, nope, by day three, excuse me, Gwynedd still had some scarecrow farm territory available, and that was about it. Obviously, the luxury farms were empty, or I should say the luxury housing areas were empty because just the sheer amount of Gilda stars that you need. The marine housing areas were empty, and that's about it. I believe there were still some spots for aqua farms, but I can't even guarantee that. And PvP zones were definitely starting to fill up. Again, I ended up in the quote-unquote safest PvP zone that you can be in simply because it was Halcyon, and Halcyon goes in and out of PvP on a regular basis. It's just how that particular zone is set up. So I and my guilds lucked out on that, and that ended up getting filled up, I would say, if not by the end of day one, by the beginning of day two. So definitely was a land rush. The other problem with the land rush is that there was also a rush on materials to try and build your houses. Now, I'm very confident that a lot of those houses were dropped with the intent of just holding out space so that people, particularly the large guilds, could put down things like farmhouses later. And so those were placeholders. But even if that was the case, there was still a lot of, just like land grabbing, materials grabbing. Trying to get materials, if you were serious like I was, and just trying to collect materials to actually build the house that you had put down to build, that was a challenge. It took me, I would say, 2, maybe 3 days of Head Start to get enough materials to make one stone pack. And the type of house that I bought, you actually need 2. And trying to farm the trees was just as difficult. People were just snatching them up. So that was a difficulty with housing. It is what it is, or it was what it was since Head Start is over. Next is Head Start farming. I did get some farming done on my 8x8, and that's probably was going to be the plan for a period of time, since, again, as I said, getting materials just to build the house, which is the easiest thing to build as far as houses go, as far as materials for houses go, that was going to take a lot longer than I definitely would have liked. Excuse me again. So with that thought in mind, I just decided to take a piece of my land and start of my 8x8, which, you know, it's pretty small, and dedicate that to material so that I could run trade packs. And that's what I did, and I ran some, but I'll get to that in a second. So next is crafting. Did not get any crafting done in Head Start. Was way too busy trying to gather materials for both my house and do some farming and continue to level, because leveling, granted this is a little outside my what I cover, but just to note, leveling actually was more difficult than it should be, because there were so many people trying to do the same thing at the same time. There were random raids going on to try and accomplish that even better, but for things where there were bottlenecks where you had to be the one to actually touch something, those could take quite some time to do. So no crafting. Too busy trying to do the basics: level, gather materials, and farm. Auction house. The auction house was actually a pleasure. From day one, there were things up there. By day two, there were definitely items from the other side up there. I do remember seeing some, what are those things called? Thunderstruck logs. So somebody got lucky and got one. And I even saw a farm cart in game. So definitely a busy auction house. The auction houses are shared between servers. There were items going up for things that, and the drops definitely increased. I mentioned that because if you wanted to just take the drops that you were getting and not wear the materials, you could definitely break them down for the Archeum dust, which that also did increase on I was definitely getting more sunlight drops, and I was definitely getting more starlight drops. The moonlight, well, put it this way. There are basically three colors of dust. The red is the sunlight, the green is the starlight. I got those. I did not get much blue. And I don't know why. Don't know why. But then on the other hand, I did not open as many of my coin purses as I could have. I mean, I had a good set. I had over 100 coin purses, because again, trying to conserve labor for other stuff. But I did open some of my coin purses, and the ones that I did open, not all of them, of course, but I did get some Archeum drops. Definitely more. I could definitely tell the difference between 1.2 alpha, beta, and Head Start. There was definitely a difference, and it was for the better. So kudos for that. But I think I was talking about the auction house. Anyway, the auction house was already up, was already active. As far as suggestions go, anything that will make that can make those first groups of trade pack runs, I would definitely put up there. I even bought some. Anything for trade packs seemed to be doing well. Trying to think. Again, stuff from the other side was selling, was up there, and I know it was selling because I was checking back and it would be gone, and I seriously doubt people were just pulling it back off. So an example of price point for those who were playing alpha: the rock salt stabilizer, which is needed, which is needed to make the viscous oil, which is needed to make the farmer's workstation. For the rock salt, those were going for about 3 gold a piece at the time that I looked, and I think that was around day 2. So I was pleased with how the auction house was going. Definitely people were using it, people were putting stuff up, and people were buying stuff. Lastly is trading. I definitely, like I said, I just started using my 8x8 to get some trade pack runs in so that I could get some gold to buy some stuff. Because I was thinking at some point I would probably end up having to buy some stone for my house. So I definitely wanted to get some trade runs in so I could start accumulating gold. So that is definitely what I did. And it was easy to do, same side. I was only doing same side at this point, just to save up some gold. So definitely did some trade runs quickly and easily. Did the initial 2 in order to get my donkey. Was holding off because of materials on doing the 3rd one because that required an olive tree, and I really did not want to buy everything off the auction house. I just didn't want to do that. So, because I'm trying to get money, not spend it, you know, kind of defeats the point if you're busy buying stuff off the auction house to save up to buy stuff from the auction house. So, I definitely did a few trade runs, quite a few trade runs with my donkey. Still doing a little bit of experimenting based on where I was located and how I wanted to do my runs, what I wanted to focus on, what would be the easiest to do considering that I was only working with 8x8. But no complaints, no issues there. It was definitely doable and I was doing it. So those are my impressions of Head Start. The key word, or in a word to describe Head Start: hectic. And there you have it. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please know that I am going to be doing an impressions video of launch, which by the way is where this footage is coming from. I do have footage of Head Start and I may or may not put it up, not sure at this point, but the footage that you're seeing me do right now is from launch, and there were some changes for me and my guild for the official launch, and I will talk about that a little bit and basically talk about my impressions of launch on a future video. So please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more coverage of Arche, housing, farming, crafting, auction house, and trading. Thank you for watching.